Hi everybody, I'm Andy Murray from WhatCulture.com.
And I've been awake for 26 hours. I'm Michael Sidgwick from WhatCulture.com.
Good grief, that is a long time. But the reason we've been awake is because, of course, of AEW's latest pay-per-view, Full Gear. And on this news video, we are going to tell you about all the major newsworthy developments on this show, including a major heel turn, something that happened before the show that's really interesting. People were brawling after they'd been boozing. Didn't go well.
Mrs. Dad.
There he is, Big George. And we'll also have your usual array of Twitter questions. There's not an am finally because it's, 8 o'clock in the morning and I am very lazy. Anyway, we're going to kick things off with a little run through the important results of the night. Not a single title changed hands. Tag team titles were defended by SCU against the Lucha Brothers and Private Party. Riho defended the Women's Championship against her mentor, Emi Sakura. And Cody Rhodes was defeated by Chris Jericho in the world title match. But we'll get to that in a little bit because first of all, I feel like we have to address the controversy surrounding the last match, not the main event, but the last match on the show, the lights out, unsanctioned match between Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega, which we all knew was going to be a little bit crazy. But were we expecting garbage cans? Probably. Were we expecting barbed wire? Yeah, I mean, they've had the weapons in the build. Broken glass? Yeah, again.
Glass table.
The table. Mouse traps.
No, I wasn't expecting that.
A barbed wire trampoline.
No, but that was great.
And exposed half of the ring, the boards, Phoenix Splash onto wood, unprotected. This match, for all the bumps that went down, for all the craziness, for all the lacerations, for Jon Moxley dragging his body across shards of glass to escape a submission, for Moxley suplexing Omega onto the barbed wire off the stage, for the mousetraps, for all the crazy SHIT that went down in this match. The internet has been ablaze. So a few interesting reactions from here. There was a lot of people saying they loved it, and we'll get into that in just a second. But Brian Alvarez, influential tastemaker, friend of the channel, said, "This is not my cup of tea." Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com, the best journalist in the game for my money.
Very tall, on fire, scoops whiz. Yes?
I'm here for it.
It's really good. He's really good.
Tweeted, "This match is not for me." But the most interesting reactions of all, I think, came from Renee Young, the wife of one Jon Moxley, who, as soon as the match started and the garbage wrestling, as Jon called it himself, started unfolding, tweeted, "WTF." A few minutes later, "Hi, yes, hello, I hate this." And then she quoted herself saying, "Seriously, WTF." And then when it was all said and done, she tweeted saying, "Anyways, I hear Christmas movies are a great palate cleanser. Brackets, help!" So, Michael Sidgwick, you're a nice counter to all these tweets because you rather enjoyed the match.
I can understand Brian Alvarez's position because he's kind of like the moral conscience to Dave Meltzer. Whenever Dave Meltzer raves about the most violent, disgusting, dangerous New Japan matches, Brian Alvarez is keen to point out, well, come on, it kind of betrays the whole core principle of what professional wrestling's meant to be. And Dave says, well, it's like, it was still great. So I can understand his position. Sean Ross Sapp, I can understand all these positions that were contrarian to mine. I can very much understand Renee Young's reaction. I would like to see my wife in that kind of match.
God, no.
On 363 days of the year anyway. What? That was a joke, man.
It's good patter. It's good patter.
It was an absolute joke.
Keep it rolling.
But I loved that match. I knew it was excessive. 38 minutes is just what you're going to get with Kenny Omega. I found it very easy to suspend my disbelief throughout because he wrestles matches of that nature. Jon Moxley's been expertly built as the master of this particular domain. I thought Kenny Omega's wonderful way of reversing sequences and doing all these very pacey, convoluted ways out of his opponent's offense worked very well with the suspense you have to build in a death match because you can't just do the bumps. You have to sell what you're about to bump into as something ungodly. So I thought his style worked wonderfully with Jon Moxley's. I know it was overkill, but you were there with me. I was loving every single second because I'm a sick bastard.
That is in stark contrast to me and Benjamin Richardson, who did not like this at all. Although, I don't know, it's just not my style of wrestling, you know. I don't like the deathmatch
purist.
stuff. I'm a purist. I like neck stuff and grappling. That's pretty much me. And men getting bludgeoned in the face with forearms. But I have found great amusement in the idea that Jon Moxley and Renee Young. Jon Moxley has sat there with his wife for like a month, knowing fine and well exactly what's going to happen on this pay-per-view.
She's been asking as well.
Aye. She'd be like, what are you going to do, John? You know, just, you know, maybe a table, maybe a chair, you know, maybe even a ladder. Who knows? It's not going to be too crazy. But he knew fine well what he was going to do, that scamp Jon Moxley, and he did not tell Renee Young a thing. Very nice. Very good stuff. Anyway, let us know what you think of the match down in the comment section below. Like I said to Michael before we went on the air, I think there will be everything from 0 out of 10s to 10 out of 10s when this comes to this match. And I think reading the reaction following on from this is going to be very interesting. Speaking of very interesting, here's a thing that happened on the show. MJF turned on Cody, man. Most shocking moment of the night, most likely. This came after the Cody versus Chris Jericho match, which was absolutely epic. Weighing in at 30 minutes, great use of space. Great way of working around Chris Jericho's deficiencies. Great use of just the whole format, really. But it concluded with MJF throwing in the towel while Cody was locked in a lion tamer. He'd been stomped on the head. It was really brutal stuff. His back was bent over like that, like at a right angle. It was grim. Afterwards, MJF is disconsolate. He's on the floor. He's really upset. He's like, Cody, I'm so sorry, man. You can no longer challenge for the title ever again. But was he being sincere? Was he bollocks? Because as soon as Cody helped him up, he got over his frustration. He helped his buddy up. He was probably getting ready to shake hands and hug it out and move on with his life. MJF kicks him in the bollocks. Heel turn complete. Arena fills with jeers. MJF's over him. He's shouting, it's my turn, all this stuff. Asshole chants everywhere. Loud, loud, loud. MJF goes up the ramp. A fan, whether he was planted or otherwise, throws an open bottle of water at this guy, dousing him completely. Really great visual to close this on, whether it was intended or not, whether it was just someone going rogue, I don't know. But this was great stuff. We won't dwell on the idea that maybe this is a little bit too early because I've got a Twitter question for that, but this was really well executed.
Yes, absolutely. We will cover the question of whether it is too early, but at the end of the day, MJF is just so great at everything. I had an epiphany moment the other day. I think when I was watching, he interrupted an interview with Colt Cabana, just told the four-eyed interviewer, I think he said, thanks MJF, mate, I can't see, and just said, I'm taking over, and he just proceeded to bury, kind of put over, and just completely entertain Colt Cabana for 3 improvised minutes, and I just got an epiphany, and this is a huge, huge, huge comparison to make, but he's so just funny and on all the time and born to do this. I think he's this generation's Bobby Heenan.
Yeah.
I truly think he is. And regardless of whether it's early or not, it will not feel early. It will feel like, oh, they should have done this months ago, because when he cuts that promo on Dynamite on Wednesday, it's going to be outstanding.
It's going to light the fuse and bring the boom, Dynamite and all that stuff. I really like my missus' take on MJF, actually. Great scarf, garbage human, and he proved that on this pay-per-view. Speaking of this pay-per-view, something that happened before the pay-per-view actually went on the air, Mr. Tony Schiavone had a little birthday soiree over the weekend, a little birthday party, and of course he invited some of his esteemed colleagues from All Elite Wrestling. Well, this is kind of a funny one, actually. I like this story a lot because it's been reported by Sean Ross Sapp at Fightful.com and Bodyslam.net as well. All kinds of coverage for this thing before Full Gear went on the air. But it's kind of been buried because, you know, the show was so explosive and so crazy, but we want to bring this thing to light. So I'm just going to read you an exact quote here from the original report because I think it speaks for itself. Jimmy Havoc was reportedly very intoxicated at Tony Schiavone's birthday party. Havoc took a swing at Excalibur, but he missed. Then the masked commentator grabbed Jimmy in a chokehold that put him to sleep. Now here's the best bit.
That's the best bit.
Here's the best bit. All of this went down right in front of Tony Khan. So Atlas Security stepped in and got Excalibur to release the chokehold. However, the incident was not over because when Havoc came to, he once again throws a punch at Excalibur, only this time he connected. This resulted in a skirmish brawl pull apart between the two until Atlas Security could break them up and escort Jimmy Havoc outside. So obviously, someone's had a little bit too much of the bubbly at this party. Maybe both of them. Who knows? Who knows?
We've done that on 2 videos, by the way. I apologise for that.
Yes, we have. Sorry if you've already watched what went down. But you think that this might cause a stink, given that it went down in front of the company president. However, sweet Tony K, the sugar man, was pouring some of that sweet, sweet Demerara all over this story in his post-Full Gear media scrum. He said, I wouldn't call it a fight. I've seen a lot worse in the world of football, both in England and the NFL. I've seen a lot worse, and I saw a lot worse tonight. They scrapped around, and it was cool yesterday. And then he joked that on Excalibur's AEW record, it would go down as a draw. So, good bit of banter there from the babyface wrestling promoter.
Yes, you've got to think. I mean, this kind of stuff must happen all the time. It doesn't get reported. It's just wrestling, for Christ's sake. You hear stories in football of just like half-time locker room bust-ups all the time and on training ground. And if anything, it's kind of considered bad if your team don't care enough to have a bit of a Barney every now and then. Terrible look for Jimmy Havoc. It's not as if he's an incredibly valuable star to AEW. I don't know how they're going to handle this sort of thing. With no WWE's approach, you could absolutely chin Vince McMahon himself right in the face, if only someone would, and they still wouldn't get fired because they are intent on not strengthening the competition whatsoever. We don't know how that plays out for AEW. We've got no real indication other than his magnanimous press scrum spiel, but you've got to believe that he must be like a little bit pissed off.
You got to think so. A man of Tony Khan's standing, certainly.
Such
the sugar
grace
man.
And poise.
He's so great.
And class. That he's just got to think that kind of thing's beneath him and the company that he's in the current process of saving professional wrestling with. So, shame on you, Jimmy Havoc, for lowering the good name of the Sugar Man. I
just want to know, man, why would Jimmy Havoc, Excalibur, whoever was to blame, why would you bring salt to the Sugar Man? Doesn't make any sense to me, but we are going to move on to your Twitter questions right now. And the first one comes from Jimmy Havoc. Oh, no, sorry. Comes from Silly Goose.
So Jimmy Havoc.
Yeah, basically. Who tweets to us, do you think the MJF heel turn is too soon?
My immediate reaction to that is no, with my head. But my heart says a little bit different, but ultimately AEW thus far have just created such trust within the fan base that I just will completely trust and believe where they're going with this.
Yeah.
And again, you're going to hear an MJF promo for 5 minutes, probably the best one of his entire career on Wednesday. And you know what? I've got a bit of fantasy booking if you'll indulge me.
Shower me with sugar.
They're not going to do this match on Dynamite in a few weeks' time, much less the 50-50. That's just not how they do things, so I don't think it's happening. I think or suspect they'll have some kind of machination in place so that they can hold off this match possibly until the next pay-per-view. I think he will not give MJF the satisfaction of wrestling him. This gives MJF a platform to cut these incendiary promos as he's on the rise through the ranks, and it will allow Cody, who's got no real purpose as a singles wrestler, get distracted from MJF, thus building it slowly over the long term by entering the doubles division with Dustin Rhodes.
I love it a lot.
That's not bad, is it?
That's not bad at all. Very nice. I don't really have anything to add to that other than initially I did think it was too soon, but now I've talked around. So let's move on. Next question comes from Levi Wigington, good name.
Fantastic.
Who asks, how long will Chris Jericho hold the AEW title and who should be the person to take it from him?
I don't think it's going to happen on TV.
No.
I think it will happen on the next pay-per-view, which when we're looking at the 4 pay-per-views per year quarterly schedule, that's looking at about, February?
February, kind of,
I still think that's too early.
Same.
Chris Jericho creates at least 2 memes every single week.
Yes.
He, at this point, is the perfect world champion because he just feels so big time. He's so entertaining. He's got such presence. He's got such gravitas. He's got such tenure. He's just the perfect world champion. And it's not just on paper. He's just so goddamn entertaining. So, yeah, I don't know when. Have they asked who?
Yes, who do we think should be the person to take it from him?
Given the slow build arc, it's looking like it could be Kenny Omega, but in my opinion, something about his act, I don't think the casual American fan base will gravitate to it, much like they have Cody, who's more traditional. Judging by his scant promo material, I think Kenny could be the best heel in that company, even more so than Jericho at some point. He just comes off as such a dick, like a wonderful dick, but an actual dick.
Donovan
so I think it's Cody.
Yeah.
I think it's got to be Cody for the long chase.
Gonna break the stipulation, brothers.
Yes, but you already want him to do it now because he's been screwed by MJF. But he's an honourable man. He's a babyface. He holds himself up to his own scruples, and there'll be some kind of engineered scenario where he can get away with it.
Yeah, wrestling's wrestling, isn't it? Wrestling's wrestling.
Imagine thinking, I don't want a wrestling promoter to lie to me.
Well, don't watch.
Idiotic take.
Yeah, don't watch WWE in particular. My answer is Jon Moxley in about 9 months because I just love Chris Jericho and I never want him to have to get rid of that weightlifting belt with Les Champions on the back. Final question comes from Abhinav Jha. Apologies profusely if I've pronounced your name wrong there, sir.
He has.
Asks, is AEW tag division the best in pro wrestling? How can WWE improve upon its own?
Oh, Jesus Christ, right. Not only is AEW's tag division really great in itself with a nice proper tier, not stylistically incredibly diverse, but if my fantasy booking brain is in full gear,
hey, all in.
Cody and Dustin, that wasn't as good. Cody and Dustin could help that enormously. Even if they don't, I love the in-house style. Clearly the live crowds love the in-house style. There's a lot of legitimate teams. There's a lot of teams who can do great matches and not necessarily win because you need losers for the winners and losers thing to matter. But it's also such an incredibly low bar. I like NXT a great deal when it's great. That tag division's not really firing on any kind of cylinders right now. WWE's main roster, it's the same story we've been telling for years and years and years. Talent's there, conviction, commitment is not. New Japan's tag team division
it's the worst of all.
absolutely stinks. It absolutely stinks. It's unacceptable given how much creative booking and performing talent there is. Unacceptably bad. And yeah, Ring of Honor, it's a blip on the radar. Impact, again, these promotions are kind of irrelevant. So by default and in itself, yes, AEW's tag team division is the best in the world.
And WWE's is probably a lost cause.
There's no answer to your second question, I'm afraid. They're just fundamentally uninterested.
It's broken, isn't it?
They just don't care. They just don't care.
It's dead forever. Great set of questions today. Thank you very much for sending them in. Thank you very much for tuning in. You can follow us on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE. Send us more questions, abuse, whatever the hell you want. It's all good fire. You can,
Don't send me abuse.
Send me abuse. I can take it. I'm a bald guy.
I've got Seth Rollins' skin. It's thin, baby.
Thin, baby. You're not going to burn it down. You can follow this fella on Twitter at...
I'm so tired. M. Sidgwick.
You can follow me on Twitter at Andy H. Murray, and the H stands for home because that's where I'm going right now. Bye.